Okay, so they're going to hear your answers, but they're not always going to see you. But okay, so welcome to our recruiting class. I'm very excited to talk about this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because I love sharing. And as women, we love to do everything in groups. So why would we not want to have our friends or our customers join us in what we're doing? All right, the more the merrier. It's really fun. So my first question is, it's funny, I found this training that I did years ago, and I thought, oh my word, you know, nothing ever changes in Mary Kay. Did you know that? The training will never change. People might deliver it differently, but the way Mary Kay created it 53 years ago is the way that we still do the business today, which is really neat. So my first question is, why did you come to the class today?
I'll answer.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm kind of on information overload with everything and trying to sort it all out and trying to kind of jump in and learn as I go. But I think this is one area. I mean, I just had someone book their first party, so I haven't done that yet. But I thought, well, I really want to have some basic understanding of this before I go into that. Otherwise, I probably will leave it out altogether because I don't know what to say.
Right. Absolutely. Good. Awesome. Mary?
Well, I've almost started selling for a high now.
Yes.
I haven't done anything with it yet, really.
Okay.
So, but I need to start doing something.
Yes. Good. Yes. Awesome.
I keep learning.
Right. Yes. We haven't dove into this part yet. Good morning. Come on in. Come join us wherever you'd like to sit. So Janelle, this is Paola.
Nice to meet you. Sorry.
Oh, well, this is called a hug from afar. And Mary is over here, and Lauren, and this is Janelle. So Lauren, with an N. So we just got started, and we were answering your question. Since we're going to be talking about team building, why did you want to come today? Right. Right. A simple answer, right? Good. Okay. What excites you about team building?
Well, I think you have someone to share those with in a closer relationship. I mean, if you're on your team, you're working together. Obviously, you can do that with anyone. You can reach out, but if they're specifically on your team, it obviously helps move you up the ladder and gives you the opportunity for more earning potential. So there's a lot of convincing, and you are helping someone else who reach their goals too.
Yes, absolutely. Good, Mary.
And I would love a team member because they would help me move up and it would give me confidence.
Right. Yes. Good. Philip.
Well, like they both said, like to help others to reaching their own goal and kind of just going further on my dream.
Yeah. Right. Good. Janelle.
Other relationships as well. Like to have really happy relationships that we have. To kind of I apologize, I'm on
We won't ask you too many questions. Question is, what excites you about team building?
yeah, I guess have I own little people.
Right.
Sure.
And she's an elementary school teacher, so she talks like that. Right, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Have your own team and good.
Be excited with them. I was like, when you become really good with little roses, I'm excited.
Yes.
Excited over this.
You know, it's so true. Good. Okay, last question. Is there anything that makes you nervous about team building?
I mean, I think it's like with anything, maybe it doesn't necessarily make you nervous, but the whole closing process of it or asking for
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do sales aside from this right now. In the past, I have, and so it was really uncomfortable for a while, and eventually you just kind of get used to it, and it's not that big a deal anymore. So it's like you just have to jump in and force yourself to have that uncomfortable feeling.
Right.
You do it a few times, and then you see
Sure. Okay, Mary, anything make you nervous?
Not really as with a customer, but I'm a little bit nervous about a team member because I'm afraid I can't teach her what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Hopefully, when I get there,
Yes.
I'll be able to.
Good. Good.
Yeah, like not knowing what to tell them or to show them the right path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the ropes yet, so it'd be hard for me to teach them.
Sure. Okay. Janelle, is there anything?
Because it's still like learning, and there's so many things that I don't know that I ask you. Or
Sure.
how to the answers. Like,
Yes. Yes. One of the things that I want to pass along quicker to consultants that I found again today as I was looking into this is it's called recruiter responsibilities versus director responsibilities. And so I think that's good to know because if you hold yourself back from team building because you think that you have to have the director responsibilities, and that can be overwhelming because you have what's called the recruiter responsibilities. So what's the recruiter's responsibilities? The recruiter responsibilities is to share some information at the party. It's to be able to set up what we call a career chat. A career chat is where you actually give them all the information. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit more about that. But so setting that up, and then once they are a consultant, it's being their biggest cheerleader. It's encouraging her to come to the events. It's encouraging them to, where should I sit? We have many chairs available. It's encouraging them to get their business cards and schedule their first party and, you know, sending them a card and sending them happy mail or, you know, and one of the things that said on the list was clapping the loudest when they have recognition at the meeting, you know, and like you really being their biggest cheerleader. So what's the director's responsibilities? The director responsibilities are to train the consultant, are to make sure that we go through the welcome packet, that helping them understand about inventory, and I'll share with you more about that. And then the, you know, really to do everything that you've seen. So one of the things, like with Paola and Lauren, is that you are recruited by a sales director, me. And so sometimes you think that you have to mimic and copy what I've done with you because that's all you know. When you're the recruiter, it's kind of like you're going to bring your team member, you're going to bring Mary, and we're going to meet, and I'm going to do everything I've done with you with your new team member. And so sometimes that could be intimidating when you're like, oh my word, look at all the stuff Roseanne's done, and now I'm supposed to know how to do that. But I earned my first car not doing any of that with my team. So as I was becoming a sales director and earning a car, my director helped me. I just brought her the people. And I was like, I'll just bring her the people. And then she'd help them get started, and they'd start with their products, and she would help do the training, and I'd bring them to the events. You know, we'd make sure everybody was going to come. But I could earn a car in the meantime and have those great commission checks while I was learning in the process. So I think when you understand that you don't have to know everything to be able to build your team, it actually excited me more to build my team quicker because I thought, I still don't know everything, you know, and even in my position. So if I wait till I know everything, it's never going to happen. So I think that first can relax you to say, okay, my job, this is always what I think about recruiting as a consultant. I'm learning how to team build on my own. And while I'm learning, I'm just bringing the guests or the customers to my director. And then I want to participate and listen to what she's saying. And there is a system that I'll show you today so that you can have the advantages of team building while you're learning, right? Mary Kay always said, in every situation, you earn while you learn. So when you bring guests to the meeting and they get facials, and I do the party, or some of the trained consultants do the parties, you're making money while you're learning, right? You earn while you learn. So it's the same thing with team building. You can still team build and earn while you're learning. So Mary Kay made the whole training process not to be where like, you have 3 weeks of training, you just sit and watch, you don't work, you know, you're not making any money. No, it was always, you're always earning money while you're learning. And it's really in the learning anyways that you grow. And so, so that's exciting. So does that help a little bit to like kind of understand what your responsibilities are and theirs? So, so that's great. Okay, here's just a few notes. And by the way, this is Jessica, everyone. Hello. Okay, this will be real quick and then we'll move on to the next thing. But number one with team building, don't prejudge. That is huge. Don't ever decide for someone else. This is the biggest mistake with team building. So we can look at someone and go, oh, she is too busy. Oh my gosh, she has like 1 trillion kids. She doesn't have any kids. She's too smart. She's not smart enough. She has too much money. She doesn't have enough money. You know, like we can literally play these games in our mind where we have decided everyone's life for them. And like, how about giving them the choice, right? So away in team building, I just think I'm going to offer it to everybody because that's my job. My job is not to make their yes or no decision, but my job is not to take their decision away. And so when you don't offer it, you have now taken all her decision making away. There have been consultants that I like really knew they could go to the top of Mary Kay and they chose no. And then there were people that, you know, we hadn't connected or I was totally surprised that, you know, that she wanted to sell Mary Kay. So it's like you just don't decide anything, never assume anything. And I have found that with some of my customers, even as they open up to me about their own lives. I'm surprised when I thought they had everything together that they didn't, you know? And so I just don't assume anything in the fact of like that I can make that decision for you. And I mean, isn't it kind of sad when we think about like we're taking away someone else's decision, right? At least let them decide. If they say no, then you're still where you were before. No means nothing changes. No is not a personal rejection. And so I had talked about this with one of you about, okay, so let's say we came today to the coffee shop and the little girl was like, is there anything that you would like to drink today? And you're like, no, I just ate breakfast and had a huge cup of coffee. Is she in the back crying? Do you see her? Is she wailing? Did she tell her husband this job is not for her because they didn't want coffee? You know what I mean? But this is what you do in your business. You go, oh my gosh, she don't want to join my team. She doesn't like me. Like, and you have this is not for me. This is a sign. No, it's not. It just means the next person that comes to the door, they will want your coffee. Because they're not saying no to you, right? We didn't say, no, I don't like your outfit, so I'm not going to buy coffee. We said, we just don't want coffee. So this is about Mary Kay. They just don't want the opportunity right now. But you know, it's never about us. So that's good to know. Here's who to look for and who not to look for. We used to always say, here's the 3 questions to ask yourself to decide if she's someone that you'd like on her team. Number 1 is, do you like her? Do you need paper? Or do you always use your phone? I thought you used it the other day. Do you like her? Number 2 is, has she tried the product? Because it doesn't matter if she bought a ton of product or not. It's just important that she tries it. I think they have to know what they're selling. Now, there's always an exception to the rule, but you don't build a business on exceptions, right? And so, yes, there's going to be that one person that didn't try Mary Kay before and, you know, is doing great, but that's not the way that you want to set it up. And then the 3rd question is, would you be upset if someone else recruited her? So, like, if she walked into the next unit meeting and there's a consultant introducing her, would you have that little bit of pain of regret, you know, like, oh, I should have said something. And so, so I kind of asked myself those questions. Now, that's just like really vague. Now, let me share with you who I do look for. Daylene White was one of the very first consultants. She was best friends with Mary Kay. And when I went down to San Antonio, Texas, and got to listen to her training about team building, she said, this is so wise, and it's proven to be true my entire 15 years. The way someone is before Mary Kay is the way they will be in Mary Kay. Every time. Mary Kay doesn't change who you are, it brings out who you are. It's the same thing with marriage. It just brings out all of our wonderful qualities. So, if she's not returning your phone calls about a facial and about getting together and about listening, that is the way that she will be in Mary Kay. If she doesn't manage her money and she's bounced checks to you and, like, you know, you have to chase her down for her to even pay for her product, that is the way she's going to handle money in Mary Kay. Now, I learned how to manage my money in Mary Kay, so I didn't have good money management skills, and then I learned. So people can always learn. But the other thing is, are they even hungry to learn? The number one thing I look at in a consultant is how she communicates with me. Because that tells me that even if she wants to say no, she's confident enough and nice enough to just say, I can't come to the event. I would like to, but I can't. Versus just not responding or never getting back to me, or I leave her a message, it takes 5 days and I've texted her 4.5 times, for her to respond. That is not someone that, maybe I want to work with at the moment, because that's how she's going to be in your. You're going to have to call her 4 times before every event. She's going to say that she's going to come and then she's not going to show up, and you're going to be really frustrated. And so I look first at how that person communicates, and then I look at, another thing Daylene said is, do they even have a need in their life? That does not mean financially she has everything. I met with a consultant, a brand new consultant, and I was sitting in her home, and it was clear that they could have had some needs. Do you know what I'm saying? And I said, okay, well, let's set a goal for your business. What would what are some things you'd like to earn money for? She couldn't think of one thing. Like, we're just really happy where we're at, and there's a difference in being satisfied where you are and thanking God for what He's given you, but also knowing that, like, if you could do something about your finances, you would want to. This was just, no, we're good. I can't think of one thing. I'm like, okay, so that's where we left it. And you know what? She's never held a party. Because if you don't have a need, then how can we fill that? Do you know what I'm saying? She's not going to be hungry to look for something more. And then Tammy Craig is from Utah. She lived in a beautiful gated community on a golf course in $1 million home. And she said she was so bored during the day while her husband worked. She redid the kitchen cabinets and how she had everything organized once a week. She was so bored, and she knew that God had created her for something more, and now she's a national sales director. So it has nothing to do with what we think or what people have or don't have. It's their drive, and are they even hungry, and do they even have a need that they are aware of, that they're willing to do something about. You can't make someone willing that is not willing. And I often say at team building appointments, I can teach you everything there is. I mean, everything there is to this business. But the one thing that I can't give you is desire. You have to bring the desire, and I can teach you everything else. But when you see someone that doesn't have any desire, it's going to be really hard to work with them. And so that's just a little bit. So that's kind of who I look for. I don't look for, they'll give you statistics of, married and people that own a home and people that have children and people that have had some education. Do you know there wasn't one of those things I had before I started? I was under the age they said. I didn't have any kids. I'd never been in college. Wasn't living in a home. You know what I mean? And so I just look at, do I like them? Do they like the product? Can I see that they have some drive, and I'm going to offer it to her. And then it's totally up to her, but those are things. And the other way to word it is, that I've heard that's always served me well, is she already successful as something else? Even if she's a stay-at-home mom, is she organized? Does she get dressed every day? Does she have good phone skills? For real. And then it's, does she, if she, Ann Newberry was, before Mary Kay, she was a stay-at-home mom, but she was excellent at, she volunteered for everything in the community, and then if she works, does she have a job where she shows up on time, and you know what I mean? And so I just look at those kind of things, but the biggest thing I tell myself is the way they are before Mary Kay is the way they are in Mary Kay. And that's one of the reasons I always say it, but that's why I really liked Viola. I'd never met her. She was the referral on the back of a card, and we were going to book a facial. And that night, Gavin had to go to the hospital, and I had to call and reschedule, and I don't ever cancel, ever. And so it just there's such anguish in me, even when I have to do it because of an emergency. So we'd always been texting, but I picked up the phone and called her because I wanted her to hear my voice. She was so kind and understanding, and she had played ball the entire time. Always responded, always was so kind. I could tell in her voice she was so nice and kind, and then committed to meeting me another time. And so it's no wonder she is the same way in Mary Kay. She's kind, she's nice, she responds, she shows up when she says she's going to show up, she's understanding. Do you see what I mean? So when you have those people, you just kind of get this gut feeling. You're like, oh yeah, I want to know her. I have a story about all of you with that, so it's that's why you're here today. Those that show up go up. And so that's one quality I look for. Okay. The best places to find your next consultants are your hostesses. And so I could show you, this was very interesting when I showed this to someone. I talk a lot, so I always can't remember, but if you look at the parties I held, and I have a list here of parties I held and then who I recruited every month. Like it's in my calendar. So for January, there were 5 new recruits, and there were 2 hostesses and a referral. Paola. In February, I recruited 3 new consultants, and all 3 were hostesses. And so where do you find, and then Lauren is one of those that was a hostess and then became a team member. And so where do you find your team members? At your parties. So when I earned my car, it's not like I knew all the people that I had recruited to earn a car. I hadn't met them yet. They're at your parties. And so because the best consultants come from skincare classes, and because no matter how many people we have on our team, we continue to do skincare classes. This is what I wrote on my paper. If you're not willing to do skincare classes, you may want to change your goal about recruiting until you are. Because we can't teach something that we don't know, and one of the main things that we are responsible for teaching new consultants is how to do a party. And this is something I take very seriously. The new consultant training starts with your very first contact with that person. The very first. So Lauren was recruited from a party. So she had a facial with me one-on-one because we didn't know each other that well, so I could build a relationship with her. Then from there, she booked a party. So from the guest list that she gave me, I reached out to every person and sent them a text message about the questions about their skin. And then after they responded, I sent them a little thing about how they could listen to the call, the little team building call. So when they came to the party, they already had in their mind, what was their experience? Oh, like somebody contacted me before the party, and and then we had this great party, and then there were referrals. We got referrals. We did the referral thing. Then we, worked on 2 bookings from every party. They got to try the products, but they had the opportunity to book their next appointment, and then hear my story and a little bit about the business. So then when I go to train them on every aspect of our business, guess what? It's been their personal experience. So if you're skipping steps at the party, and then then I come in and I'm training them on how to do a party, but you've skipped a bunch of steps, then they're confused. So if everything is consistent, we pre-profile, we do everything right at the party, and if I ever want to skip anything, I think, this is a party, somebody's going to recruit. If I ever don't want to wear a skirt, I'm like, this is a party, someone's going to recruit. You always wear a dress, because then how are you going to teach them that you're supposed to wear a dress? And so new consultant training actually starts all the way at your first contact of pre-profiling. And so because of that, this is our job description, even as a top sales director, is to continue to hold parties. And when Ann Newberry did that training with new national sales directors last week, she shared with them that even as national sales directors, they have to continue to hold parties if their business is going to grow. So they have to go hand in hand. I have tried it all. I have recruited without parties, and it does not last. Or I've recruited everyone at the party, and then I had no customers. Do you know what I'm saying? That's because I wasn't getting referrals. I wasn't getting 2 bookings. I wasn't doing all the steps. So sometimes if you want to kind of shortcut, that doesn't work either. So you really want to work the process, but that's why it's so important, like you said, before these first parties, and before we do more parties to understand what we're doing. So, okay, here's another thing. So number 1 was don't prejudge, and then who we look for. Number 2 is be careful about what you share. Top national sales director Rena Tarvis said, only share facts with her if you're ready to close her. So when I'm standing at the grocery aisle and someone sees your Mary Kay pin and they start asking you how much money you make and does Mary Kay work, and you start going into 50% and you share with her all this stuff and then you walk away, like you're not really ever going to see her again. Only share facts if you're ready to close. And so at a party, are we ready to close? Yeah, because you're going to do an individual close with her and you can close her on the spot. I've recruited lots and lots of people right at the parties. Like they ordered their starter kit while we sat there. So that's an appropriate time. But if you're standing at a wedding and you tell someone you've done Mary Kay and they're like, oh my gosh, I've heard of that. Tell me, like, how's it work? No. Like, first, let's have a facial. And then at the facial, I can share with you a little bit more or whatever. But I just I just say vague things. Oh my gosh, I just love it. It's worked so well for my family. I would love to tell you more. I'm not ready to close her at that wedding reception. You know what I mean? So that was a word of wisdom. When you share details, it's her decision. Oh, but what she was saying is if you share too many details while you're standing at the wedding, she goes home and she makes a decision. Does she really have all the facts? No. Has she ever even tried the product? No. But once they get a little bit of information, they think they have enough to make a decision when they don't. And then it's going to be really hard to like go back and try to share more with her. Give her stories. Like I said, like you could share really good stories without giving her numbers when you're just kind of standing somewhere like that. And then if she has questions, go over, setting up an appointment. Okay, number 3 is getting them to your director. Now, I am all about teaching you what I know, and even as consultants, teaching you how to do team building appointments where you go all the way from the beginning, all the way to the end where you can close them. I am not the only person that can close a team building appointment, okay? It's not that hard. But in the beginning when you're learning, I believe it is important to hear someone that has lots of experience to be able to just hear what's going on. So in the beginning, I do think it's important to get them to your director. And then with time, and everyone's pace is different with what you're confident in or how many you've listened to, you're going to work at your own pace then to start doing them on your own. Okay, so don't think that the only way to recruit is to come to me, but in the beginning, it's really helpful just to learn. So you can give her information. I always say that when you set up something, make sure you can be there or you can listen on the phone, unless there's some extreme case where you can't. You'll get more confidence and you'll learn more. And then the next thing, number 4, is to take the emotions out of it. And what that means is that if you let your emotions run the show, this is for any part of your business, they will really hold you back. People can only let you down as much as you lean on them. So you have this one girl, and like, let's say you need 2 more people to finish your car. You have 3 more days. And so do you only talk to like 2 people to get your 2 team members, but they would be so awesome? Like, okay, that's nice, but you can't just rely on those 2 people. Talk to 8 people, because then you'll get the 2 you want no matter what. Does that make sense? And so here's some of the numbers that Mary Kay kind of shares with us. In our unit, we are very good at team building, and so I would say that at an event, when you bring someone to an event and then they actually hear a lot of information, we have 1 out of 4 recruiting ratio. So out of everyone at an event that hears information that is properly followed up with, 1 out of 4 will say yes. So you could just say that with your own business as well, that 1 out of 4. When we actually do a live face-to-face follow-up, so let's say she comes to the event and it's not just over the phone, like we sit down and meet. So that's what happened with Jessica. Her recruiter brought her to a face-to-face team building appointment, and from that appointment is where she decided to join Mary Kay. And so when we have sit-down chats, our ratio is 1 out of 2 to 1 out of 3. There's something about that. And so so that's where I always want to get people to coffee. If I can get them to coffee, the chance of them joining is really, really high. And so just so that you kind of know, because why do you need to know those numbers? Because if 4 people, the first 4 you talk to say no, then the numbers will never lie. Numbers in business never lie. You might have to work more numbers, but after you look back and you're like, oh my word, who did I talk to? Who said yes and who said no? It was always 1 out of 3 and 1 out of 4 every time. So that helps you to say, oh, well, I have to get 3 no's to get 1 yes, so I'm so glad I got a no, because now I'm on my way to a yes. Like, it's just the way it is. But when you get all wrapped up in the emotion of it, that's where it's dangerous, because then, you wait to try a team building appointment for a month because you were so upset at the way the one went. And I put on here, it's not for everyone. If we were all consultants, we would have no customers. So it's not for everyone, but it's for everyone to hear about. And maybe there'll be a talent scout for you. I had that. I had a customer text me and say, my daughter-in-law is interested in hearing about the business. So that was something that that was really neat. So once they know a little bit, then they can help you as well. So Okay, some of you I've shown this to. I'm one short, and I can email them to you as well. Do you have a copy of that already? Okay, you look at it, and then I'm gonna email it to you. Okay, so on this part, this is what happens when you team build. Like, what can you gain financially from team building? And it starts all the way at the bottom on the career path of what you get as just a beauty consultant that has not yet added her first team member, right? We get to make 50% on our sales. We get prizes and bonus product from the company, and attend events and all this kind of fun stuff. Okay, as you move up and you have 1 to 2 active team members, what's active mean? So one of the things that you can write somewhere in your notebook is, if you learn now the difference between active and qualified, it will serve you well, because I used to get them so confused. Active is just when someone places their first order, even if it's the tiny minimum order of $2.25. That's called they're active. They now have the Mary Kay discount. Did they get anything free? No. Qualified is when their very first order to the company is $600 or more at one time. It could be $600 to $4,800. Any of that makes them what's called qualified. So the reason why you need to know that is because qualified is where you get bonuses. Qualified is where you get points for your star. Active, there are ways that that's how you make your commission. So that's why it says on there, they just have to place some kind of a first order, and then you start to make a commission check. So what that means is, just because someone buys a starter kit does not mean that you make a commission. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we are not a pyramid company. We do not get paid for signing someone up. We only get paid when we help them become successful by setting up their business and teaching them to sell where they reorder. That's what I love about Mary Kay. So because of that, then when you have 1 or 2 active team members, you get a 4% commission. So I'm just always going to use, for easy math, $1,000. So if your 1 or 2 team members order for the whole month $1,000, at the end of the month is where Mary Kay figures out your commission check. Because maybe you are going to add more team members, and then your commission will be different. So when the month closes, they look at where you are for the whole month, and they figure out your commission check. So you'd get $40 for 1 or 2 people that ordered $1,000 total. Okay, so then you can move up, and with 3 active team members, you get your beautiful red jacket. And they just changed what they're going to recognize for at Career Conference. Oh, I'm so excited. So when you get your first team member by Career Conference, you actually get to go on stage and have special recognition. And when you move up into your red jacket by Career Conference, you also, so you're going to get a little, like a little fabric swatch of the red jackets, so you can start buying shoes and everything fun for it. That's going to be on your pin, and you are going to get the director's suit swatch as a new red jacket. She only needs 1 more. We're so excited. So do you see what I'm saying? So it's fun to be in your red jacket, because when you come to the meetings, everyone sees you in that beautiful red jacket. They know that you are like in the beginning stages of leadership as a consultant. So you just get to 3 as fast as you can. Okay, then and that's 3 to 4. It says 3 plus, but 3 to 4. Because when you get to 5, this is where you run to 5 as fast as you can. Because at 5, your commission check now changes, and you get either 9% or 13%. The difference is that you can have 5 or more team members, and you didn't sell anything and they didn't do a lot, and you'll always get the 9%. Okay, but to get 13%, 5 of your team members need to place that month at least $225 in orders. So sometimes it's their first order, they come in with a star, that counts. Sometimes they're reordering and they did $300 of reorders, that counts. It's just total for the month. And your orders have to be $600 because you sold at least $300 a week, or you could sell $1,200 in 1 week, and you reordered $600. That gets you the 13%. Mary Kay always, even in my position, pays you more when you personally work. Because this is not about you sit back and everybody else works and you're going to make a commission. So every single time when you personally work, your commission goes up. Mary Kay always wanted it that way. So with 5 team members, you can now start to earn your car. Stop. Oh my gosh. You can now make 9 or 13%. So on the same $1,000, instead of $40, you're going to get $90 or $130. So when you have 5 people and you guys have $5,000, you're either going to get $200, $450, or $650 if you're at the 13% for the same $5,000. So why not hurry up and get to team leader fast? Don't lose money. Then you get $50 bonuses for the new consultants that come in qualified. Does it say qualified, or does it just say $50 bonus? Yeah. So that's where when their first order is $600. So if her first order is $225, you don't get the bonus. Her first order is $600 or $4,800, then you get the bonus. Okay. Then with 8 active team members, you're a future director. It's kind of the same pay scale. When you have 14 or more, this is when in the production you earn your car. So now you have 83% of your insurance covered, the plates are covered, and every 2 years you get a new car and you maintain just what you've been doing. Then you can be a director in qualification with 10 or more active, and you've signed the paper of intent that you want to be a sales director. So it's kind of the same pay scale. From team leader to director, it's the same. Like all the way from when you start with 5 until you become a sales director, you are on the same commission schedule. So that's why it's exciting when you get to be a sales director and you have a team of minimum of 24. Now your commission like kind of triples because there's starting at $500 a month, there are bonuses. There's $100 bonuses now on each one of your qualified. You get double the amount of commission on your personal team. I mean, it's crazy. So you don't stay at 24. 24 is the launch pad, and I tell every consultant, think of 100. You start at 24, but you really want to get to 100 as a sales director. You don't stop growing. So 24 just kind of barely puts you in the jacket. You know what I mean? But you really want to think about coming out with 50 to 100. Okay? Okay, so that's a little bit about, like, if you want to know how do I make money recruiting, then there you kind of have it. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? No?